This is Poland Daily Business. My name is Aleksander Wierzejski. Welcome to the show. And our guest tonight is Marcin Roszkowski of Instytut Jagielloński. Sir, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a home office, so...
Is a home office? It's a remote connection?
Typical.
Right.
It's a remote connection.
Most of us works remotely these days, and this is something that we take advantage of technology that's there, and it has been underappreciated so far.
Let's hope we do not get used to it too much, because it's really important to come back to work after this pandemic is over.
That's true. Polish government is proposing something that is called anti-crisis shield. And what is the basic assumptions of this new legislations and new measures?
Actually, the main problem, besides the health issues of this crisis, is the financial problem for the companies doing business in Poland. So the less cash they have, the income is in most sectors zero, and the costs are more or less the same as last month or 2 months before. So generally, the problem is with the amount of cash in the Polish sector, and the anti-crisis shield is aimed to have influence on shielding the companies from going bankrupt. Because from day one of the quarantine, most of Polish businesses went to zero production, zero services provided. So generally, the way the virus is spreading also was the way of our economy being developed. So the more we move, the faster the GDP grows. And the problem is that the virus goes the same way. So we are now in a freeze, let's say, and the health issues are being solved. So the most important thing with the anti-crisis shield is that we still have an economy after the crisis, the health crisis is over.
So it's maintaining jobs and maintaining the companies and not let them crash due to the, for example, cash shortages, because what is happening in Poland, we don't have big cash shortages, and this considers families and companies as well.
And also the shield is dedicated and aimed at supporting the cash flow in companies, but also to protect the employees. For example, there is a subsidy for 40% of the average salary on the average worker in each company. Also, there are subsidies for planned for medium and small companies doing business in Poland, for them not to lay off people and for the crisis not to get worse on the economic level. Because freezing the economy for a couple of weeks will hurt it, but making most or some of the companies go bankrupt will not allow anybody to come back and re-establish their companies from scratch from day one when the quarantine is over. So generally, it's easier to change your job. It's not so easy to establish a working company from scratch from day one when the health crisis is over.
That's true. The mechanism you mentioned, 40% of salary, means that we take 100%, say, paid to the individual employee in February this year. We deduct 20% out of it, and out of remaining 80%, 40% pays government, 40% should cover current employer. This is, first of all, unprecedented measure for Polish economy, as far as I can remember. On the other side, is it enough to support the company with this crisis? They are basically in limbo. They do nothing.
The problem is that the crisis is, we cannot describe the consequences of the crisis today. We'll see it in a couple of quarters, how it influenced the economy. It can be a catastrophic scenario. With the recession, the world recession as a triggered by this epidemic. But the governments, not only Polish government, but governments try to combat this crisis in different ways. Polish government has managed to arrange more or less 200 billion zloty for supporting this uneasy period for the companies. Will it work? Let's see. The problem is that first of all, the issues with the health crisis. So we need to stop the virus from spreading, to make the period of this crisis shorter. The second thing is to have an economy after we fight the health crisis. So Polish government in the health aspect has frozen one of the first governments to freeze the whole country, actually. And in the second aspect, the substantial influence, substantial injection of cash to the Polish economy is not exercised by other countries yet. So we are, in this approach, we are one of the first. Some of the countries are also focusing on that or preparing action in this scope as our government, but generally, it looks like we are one of the first to do that. Look what has happened in the Western democracies, like in Germany or France or Great Britain. They are slowly closing schools, public events, and the public gatherings. So I think the problem with the epidemic has been more, let's say, drastically fought in Poland. And the only example I can find in such action in the world is probably Taiwan that has combated this epidemic quite efficiently, more or less using similar means.
Taiwan was first. We are following its steps, and obviously Taiwan is democracy. The mainland China is not, and the harsh measure is equal. The one thing that has been shown here, however, it's very briefly because we are out of time, is that no health system in developed world can cope with such a situation, with such a tragedy.
It's also a mathematical issue. The more hospital beds are engaged, occupied, the less the flexibility of the health system is there. There is no, it doesn't matter how wealthy, there's no health system that can support millions of people in hospital. So every system will break when the number of infected people is too great.
And obviously this also has its economical value. Marcin Roszkowski of Instytut Jagielloński. Sir, thank you very much for this conversation. And that was it for Poland Daily Business Tonight.